And so for the functions, I'll explain about what are they, how are they, how to use them, what is there in the functions, and all of that. Okay. So 1 second. Okay. So let's start with the functions. All right. I will be explaining about function today. Is everybody listening?
Yes, we are listening. Ashir, your screen is not sharing.
I know I'm not sure yet. Okay, so let me just quickly share my screen here. Okay, let's start talking about functions today. So in the Python
Ashir,
functions,
excuse me, Ashir. Could you
yes,
please record this session?
I am recording session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so today I will be explaining about functions. Functions in Python are just a block of code which is supposed to be done to do a specified task. These functions in Python, they will help you reduce our complexity in our code, and the readability will be much easier to understand. For example, we might have, let me just go into my Paint and I will explain. Here, everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and what I so for example, the functions, like I said, it's a specified reusable block of code which is helped to reduce complexity in Python and readability. So for example, we have a function, we have functions, function. We want to create a circle, we want to create circle shape, and we want to color it with something. We want to color it with color. And so putting instead of putting them together and making a bunch of code, we should be doing so that they're separate functions. We can create one function which will create a circle function, and the other function which will decide your color, which could be based on your input. And so this is just a basic example of functions and how they're going to be working. So they're going to have separate functions, and we're going to run them so that we can create our output. And it's a much easier way. So let me share my VS Code, and I will show you what I mean. Here, look, there's the VS Code. Here, let's start writing our function. And so our function, when we write, we will use our def keyword. This is called definition of function. This is how we are going to start our function. And then after, we'll add our space, and we will just write what kind of function name we got. Okay? Zoom in. Okay, 1 second. Is this better now? Okay, and so here we will use our define keyword, and then we will write our name of function, which for now we can do greet. Okay, greet, like say hello, and then we will put a parentheses. I will explain what we can put in this parentheses after. So firstly, let's just start understanding the function. So this will be our first line. We add our definition keyword, greet, and our braces. And so here we can write whatever we want for the function. Let's print something or write hello. Keep in mind when you're doing this function there should be an indentation. If you don't like in the if statements I talked about, I added an indentation because it's inside the body. It has to be local, not global. Okay, now what we'll do is now we're done our function. Let's try running our code, okay? Let's see what output will be. If you run the code, look what happens. See the terminal? There's no output. Reason to that is because we are not at there's something we only create our function. We never say anything about running it, okay? And so what we have to do so that we can run our function is that we put a greet. We'll have to say our function name outside our function with parentheses. But because this is VS Code won't allow this to do instant, so you'll have to print it out. So if you use something like Google Colab or Jupyter Notebook, you don't have to print it out because it doesn't need to do that in most situations in Jupyter Notebook, okay? So in this case, because it's VS Code, yes, you do have to print out or else you will not get your answer. So now that we ran our greet function, what will be our output? Anybody know? Anybody?
It's print hello.
What do you say?
It's print hello
Yes, it print hello. And why do you say that? How do you know that it will print hello in this case?
because we are calling the function in print statement,
Yes, you're
print
correct.
function.
Yes. And so if we run it, now look what we get. 1 second, everybody. Oh, never
Yes,
mind.
that's
Never mind. In VS Code and Jupyter Notebook, you just have to write it like this. I just had some error earlier. So forget about the print statement with the calling function. It will create a none value. So like if you see here, this is a mistake I make. That if you do it like this, see terminal, it will run what you want, like you said, hello, but it will write none because we are printing. And so when you're calling functions, just forget what I said. Don't print it out, even if it's VS Code. VS Code will just run it. And so yes, you're right. It will call the function and will print what's inside. So what it's doing here is see here, there's our function, and then it will when the interpreter see the function, it will go up it will go right up here. It will check inside the function. It will do whatever is inside function. And so that's how this basic function works. And and just to how I say, functions are reusable, so you can print as many times as you want and it will run how much you want. And it's also reusable, so you don't need to use it once. You can use it in other situations. Everybody understand that?
yes.
Okay, now that we know about that, let's start talking about we can dive deeper into functions. And so what we can do is we can add something called parameters and arguments. Now you might be thinking, what are they? Like what will parameters arguments be? Let me explain right now. Parameters, we want to if we want to dive deeper into functions, parameters, we can are what we pass information, we pass to the function by default. So here when we, like I said about the parentheses, that's the reason there are parentheses. If you want any parameters you want to pass in, then you can write. So let's try a parameter here. Let's do let's do x, okay? And so now it will say def greet x. This is just what we're passing information, and x isn't equal to anything yet. So now what we can do is we can, for example, print x. What do you think the answer will come? I'm just, let's see. Do anybody think what they think answer will come?
I think it's blank
Okay, and how do you think it's blank?
because we have defined the parameter, but not give its value.
Yes, you are right, but yes, that does make sense. But in fact, it will actually give an error. There's, and the reason to that is, let me just explain. There's something called arguments. Arguments is what you give the information, because, and the reason we got this greet missing one required positional argument x is because if x isn't if there's no value for x here, it will for sure give an error. It's like this. You cannot do this in Python, right? You
Ashif,
cannot.
could you please show the error?
Here, error is right here.
Missing one required. What is shown? It's not clear to my screen.
So what it's saying is type error, missing one required positional argument x. I'll explain about this positional argument after, but the reason is because think of this error as this. You cannot do x equals to, right? You cannot do that in variable. You have to have some kind of value, yes? You need some kind of value in your variable so that the error will not come. And so here, if you do def greet x and then you print it, then you run it, it will give error. And so then let me explain about arguments. Arguments is what we give information. So parameters we pass, arguments we give. Okay? We will give our
Okay.
we'll give argument to our function so that then we won't get our errors. And so how it will go is if now I have to write a value. Let's try writing 5, for example. This is we're giving information. So now what do you think answer will be?
Give 5
Yes, how do you know it's 5? Why do you think?
because we have passed the value in argument.
Yes. And so what it's doing is C5 basically here now it's what this is meaning now is now it's trying this x is trying to convey to us that x equals 5. And so these two x and 5 will match. So when we have our value 5, it will go up here and it will see now, okay, so in our arguments, we now have x, now we have 5, and so x is only one here. So we'll take x equal 5 and we'll print our x. Everybody understand? Okay, now what I will explain is, and so now we know about these. Let's now we'll go a bit more further, but instead we will go with type of. We'll go with um our types of arguments, okay? And so we might think right now, what do you think it will be? Let me show. Types of arguments. There's two types of arguments we only have. Positional argument and keyword argument. Like here, when we have our error, it's a positional argument, yes? This positional argument is when you're doing here, they have to be in the orders. So look, let's make it simpler and let's create a new function, okay guys? Here, I comment def add, okay? You can, just saying you can add more than one parameter. So let's do add A and B, okay? Colon print A plus B. And now we have to user add and we have to put, for example, 3, 6. In these situations, positional arguments do not matter. But for example, we have name, def name, first name, and last name, okay? And let's print format hello first last. So for example, my name is Asher Naveed, okay? I take Asher as my first name, and I take Naveed as my last name. And I put hello, but if I do here, if in my arguments, if I do Naveed first and then I do Asher, it will switch up. And so now, what if I do name, mm, if I do Naveed, Asher, what do you think answer will be? Because now what we have is this is positional argument. They have to match. But what do you think answer will come here? Because they're not match. Yes, it's Naveed Asher. How do you know? How do you think? Why do you think like that? That it is a Naveed Asher? Why do you?
Because in the first argument you send the Naveed, and in second argument you send the Ashir.
Yeah, and it will take it in order. And so these positional arguments might be hard because you have to keep track of what you're ordering. So if first these will always match, the first one will match with the first argument, second parameter will match with second argument, okay? And so then if if it's in this case, what we'll have to do is when we do this Naveed Asher, we have this is going to be a bit complicated. And so now this is where keyword argument comes in. Keyword argument. And these keyword argument, these ones are just a much easier way to understand your code. And so how we can do our keyword argument, we'll put our name of our parameter we'll put the name of our parameter equals to what we want. So now if we do last equals to Naveed and first equal to Asher, what do you think answer will come now? Because now keyword arguments, you don't need to rely on your order. Now what do you think will come? You can write in chat if you want, or you can just speak out.
It will be print Asher Naveed.
Yes, you're
No, it
correct.
will be Hashir Naveed.
Yes, you are correct. And how do you know if it is Asher Naveed?
Because you have defined, you have mentioned in defined name, first and last name.
Yes, because here there's a first name and last name. Like I said in keyword argument, there is no need to worry about your order. You don't need to match it, okay? So even if I put this one first before, it will still do same output because we now know our first, it's already defined here, it's equal to Asher. Okay? Everybody understand?
Yes.
Okay. So now what I will be talking about is in our parameter. So that's the two arguments. So far what we've talked about is what is a function, their examples, how to do it, calling the function, parameters and arguments, the types of arguments. Now let me talk about this one thing. This might seem a bit confusing, but you'll get the hang of it. So when we're doing here, we can just remove this, for example. Okay, of course we will get error because we have not stated our last argument. So it'll be like this. We cannot do that, right? So there's something that comes in our parameter. It's a different type of parameter. It's only one. It's called a default parameter. And what do you think default parameter will mean? It's a type parameter. And what do you think it will mean? Default. Does anybody think of any idea, or just shall I just explain? Yes, I know it is error. I know it's error. I already explained that it is going to be error. I'm just asking that what do you think a default parameter is? We can use it in this situation. I'm just asking what it is. What do you think? It doesn't have to be exact. I'm just asking your thoughts.
Hello.
Yes?
Yes. Hi, Asher.
Hello, I'm just explaining about
Yeah, that's her.
default parameter. I'm just
Okay.
asking what is their thoughts. Anybody know?
Okay.
Okay, so let me just explain what a default parameter is. Okay, so default parameter, we all know now this is an error because this last one will not come here and it's not coming here and will give error like you say. Someone say, yes, you're right. We're missing one required positional argument, last. And so what we can do in this situation, we can actually use something called a default parameter. It's a type of parameter, like the only one, and it's where you can set a fixed value by default in the start. You can already set the value in the start. So let me show. So now I can put Navid here instead. So so it's already fixed like that. So now I will ask you guys, what do you think the output will be now that we add a default parameter it's fixed like that? What will print now?
Print it again.
What do you say?
It will print Ashir Naveed
Yes, you're right. How do you know?
because your last parameter is a fix.
Yes, you're right. Good. And in the chat, someone say Naveed. It will not say Naveed by default because we also have our Asher and this
Yeah,
first name, and it will not be left over. And so we'll have to keep. If I were to remove this first argument and parameter, then it will become Naveed. So here, now it's fixed. And now it's not just that. You can also just do this. Now this is going to be a also, what do you think? Question. Now what do you think will come as an output? We have our default parameter, but we have a keyword argument of the same parameter. This will be, what do you think? Somebody say Asher Navid. Okay, how do you know that? How do you know that it will be an Asher Navid? Okay, I see that you'll see here, but How do you know? There's also default parameter, isn't it fixed? Won't it just go Astronavid? What do you think? How do
But
you
the
know?
value is upgraded.
Huh? What do you say?
Value is upgraded.
Yes, that is what I want to hear. The value will be upgraded, override. And so how, and so, drink fun? Yes, you're also right. Because during the function you call pass parameter, yes, I'm overriding it. And so when you see a default parameter and you want to override it, it will be same. It will be different depending on your value. And so yes, it will do an upgrade on it. So I can remove it, it will put Naveed. I can add it, it will be Asher Naveed. And now we can talk about one of our last thing I will explain about, and it is called a return statement. How about this? Before we talk about return statement, let me just explain you guys something called pass statement. Before I explain, let's go back to our greet function I explained earlier. Def greet x. Let's remove our parameter. What will it give? What do you think? What do you mean by which function I will explain? I'm explaining something you can use in a function called pass statement. I'm just I'm just right now asking, what do you think output will become? Just right now. There's nothing in the body. No running, nothing. Anybody want to answer? Error. Okay, you say error. How do you know? How do you know it's error?
Because error is because the function is not defined. Statement,
Yeah,
function body.
yeah. So basically, there's nothing inside. And so this is where our pass statement comes in. It's not going to be the it won't be a most useful, but if you want to leave your functions empty, you don't want to worry about it and you're going to come back to it maybe or something, you use something called pass. This pass statement is basically going to let your function be empty and not worry. So even if I were to agree to, what do you think answer will become? Anybody want answers? Anybody want to answer? I add a pass statement and I run my function for some reason. What do you think?
No value returns.
Okay. How do you know it will be no value return?
Because we have put pause and it's paused that value.
Yes, because it's gonna just egg instantly just it's just gonna make your thing blink. Now let me explain about return. Everybody understand about pass? How it works?
Asher,
Yeah?
I just want to ask that you are actually recording this session.
Yes, I'm recording. I told you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now does everybody understand? Let me check. Oh, you want me to explain past statement again? Okay, no problem. So like I said, here def greet function, of course it will be error like you said, okay? But but if we want to make so simply if we want to leave our functions blank for now and we're not going to work on it yet, but we're going to work on it after, maybe in your big project, you can use your past statement so that you can keep it blank. Nothing will run, but it will just how I say yes, it will leave it blank so that you don't need to worry that okay, if I have nothing value, what will I do? Just add pass and you'll be good. You understand now? Okay, let me move on to return statements. Return statement is similar, you can say, to it is similar to your print statements. And so let me just add a pass statement here so I don't worry about it. Here, let's go back here. Um, back to our other one, we can also, let's instead make it an add. Let's just, one more time, create an add function, def add a, b, colon, indentation. And here we can use return to return a short value. Maybe it's probably it's most likely not gonna be used for like strings, and it's probably going to be used for uh numerical. So I can do a plus b, and we can add, and we can do 1 3, answer will be, well, wait a minute, let's try print it this time. Yeah, so in VS Code, when you're doing return statements for numerical, I think so, or a string, you'll have to add a print. And so this is what return looks like within parameters and a return statement and parameters. But you can also do, but here in our other examples, there's you can add no return. You can, like, here if I wrote print hi, like I explained, it will do, it's a no parameters and no there's going to be no return statement. So this is most of a basic common one. These ones are used for names. Yes, you need parameters, but there's going to be no return. And then you can also do the opposite way. There can be no input and you can just return something. Or you can do this way, which is probably going to be the most advanced one of them all if you want to add stuff and all that. So now let me ask you something. What do you think the output will be in this situation? Just add a plain return. Return, that's all. Anybody know? Or want to answer? No need to be worried if you don't get it right. I'm just asking from your thoughts. Okay, you think error. Why do you think it's error?
No, it will be not error. It will put those values 1 and 3 in parameters A and B, but
Yeah.
not display this.
Okay, then. Okay, you're right. But what do you think? What do you think output will be?
No output.
Okay, you think no output, and someone think error. Why do you think it's error? Whoever say. How can you prove that it's error? And somebody said, okay, you cannot return a variable. Yes, you can return variable. Look, if I do, these are variables, basically parameters, they still count. And if I run it, it will give me 4. But what if there's no variable, nothing, and there's just a plain return? Okay, I understand your point. There's no there The answer here is actually just blank. Like you say, somebody say it's only a blank of value. The reason to that is return has this kind of has a way where if you don't put anything, it will just put plain blank despite adding your arguments. If I remove my arguments, keep the parameters, yes, it will give an error. But see, if you run, I forgot to save it. It's gonna give none. Or in other words, it will give either blank or none. It's the same thing. None is blank basically. And that's because we have no value there. And so that's just a question about the return statement. And yes, you can just return strings as well, I'm sure. In this case, let's try it, for example. Yes, you can return strings. So when you're talking about parameters, just keep in mind A and B do not always have to be printed in order for you to actually get it. Even if it's not accessed, see it says right there, it's not an error. It's just that it's optional if you want to run it or not in in the inside body, but you have to add the arguments with that. Everybody understand return, or do you want a re-explanation or specific explanation at some point? Everybody understand? Are we fine with this return statement? Clear. Anybody else is curious, or do they also think clear? Like, I understand. Alright, I can move on then. Now let's move on to maybe our last thing I'm gonna specify in functions. And let's just, to end off what I'm gonna be explaining about, forgot to explain earlier in the class that there's actually types of functions. Now, they're not really that complicated, nothing complex about them. We have two, we have two kind of functions. Let me write down two kinds of functions. Our first one is we have something called a built-in function. Our second one is called a user-defined function. If you see it, you might see it in like custom function. It can be any, if you see anything similar to user-defined, it's probably going to be like custom or something. And user-defined is what we've been making recently, and they're just what our own functions. You can create your own functions in Python so that you can reduce the complexity of your code. Okay? And like I said, functions, yeah, they're block of codes to do a specific task, and they're also reusable in different situations. So don't worry about using them twice or something in situations. That's user defined. Your own function you created, like I've been creating here, that's user defined. Now we have built-in. Built-in is just the functions, which is our coding language Python. They already give you these functions all. They've already give you input function, print function, data types function, type function, int function, and all of that. So like built-in function, let me show you. Let's comment this. So built-in function is like print I. What is the built-in function here? Tell me, it's really quickly answer. What is built-in function here? In this one statement I said print I, what is built-in function? Print. Print. Okay, how do you know it's print? Or actually it's fine. Never mind. Yes, it's a print. And okay, let me ask, why do you know, how do you know, or why do you think it's print? How can it be print? Just saying earlier I explained. Okay, yes? Anybody want to say? Because it is already in Python library. Yes. But it's also that we, it's a bit, just saying a function is is a block of code performed to do a specific task. Do a task. It is also reusable and it helps improve readability. It helps improve readability and reduces complexity. A function is a block of code performed to do a specific task, and it is also reusable, and it helps improve readability and reduces complexity. So, like right here in the definition, it says it's performed to do a specific task. This print function, it's doing a task. Its task is to print this. And so, yes, there's not just this. You can also do our input, which you guys probably have learned already. Input, what is your favorite color? Color input is also function. There's also a type function, which is gonna find the type of this, which I can run right now. It will not run because VS Code wants you to print it. Look, type will just give the type. It says class int. That just means type. That's the type of, it's an integer. It will also go for others. If I were to do a 4.2, it will give a flow, and if I do high, if I do just like an H, what will it give? String. So, and if I do like maybe true, it'll give boolean. That's just how type works. And these are just one of the many types of functions in Python which are built in. And yeah, that's about it. So let me go over what these two types of functions are. User defined, whatever you make, like the functions you have made. You built in the function are like you say, somebody say, it is already in the Python library. You can it's already free for you to use. And yeah, that's about it for functions. And that's all.
That's all, Asher?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. So guys, do you have any question?
Yeah, just ask any question if something was not understanding, because some of you people joined a bit late, I could see, because I only see 3 people at the start who actually listened the whole thing. But is everything clear to everybody? Does they know? If you want to ask me about the topics, there are like the topics were firstly, what is a function, an example of it, how to do it, calling functions, parameters, and arguments, default parameter and the types of arguments, how to use them, and return and pass statement, and also the types of functions. That's all. Is everything clear to everybody? You can say it out loud or just write it in the chat.
Anyone have any question?
Would you just rephrase the return function?
Rephrase which one? Built in?
Okay.
Return function.
Okay. Asher, can I? Yeah, you want to.
I can do.
Okay, just go ahead then.
Okay, so built-in function? Built-in
No,
function?
it's not about built-in function. He is asking about the return one, that we are
Oh,
actually writing the return. So what do you mean by return thing?
so return here, let's go back to our add. This return is just, think of it as a print, okay? Think just
Okay.
this is gonna be a print value. Just instead, it's gonna be more used in your function sides, because instead, this return, what it's doing instead of print, okay, let me simplify. Let me go to my paint so that I can actually give a understandable explanation to you. Like, let me create a new file. Everybody should see my screen, so wait, whoopsies. New, no save. Okay, see here?
Oh yeah.
Return, look, there's return. Let's write it as a return is R, and then there's a P which is print. Return,
Okay.
if I do, in a return statement, if I do 1 plus 2, what will it give? 3. Print, if I do 1 plus 2, oopsies, 1 plus 2, it will also give 3. But just instead, this 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 one, return, will end the code. Code will stop instantly. That's why when I was showing you the examples for if I add nothing with a return statement, it would just end it with a blank. But this print will continue what's after. Do you understand
Okay,
now?
okay, तो I can give you a simple example. For example, अगर हम normal language में बात करते हैं, normal language में अगर हम कहते हैं कि return दे दो हमें या return कर दो हमें चीजें, parcel है जो मुझे return करवाना है. So what do we mean it? That for example मैंने कुछ मंगवाया, I take a input. ठीक है, मैंने कुछ मंगवाया, दिस इज समथिंग इनपुट फॉर मी, दैट इज द इनपुट फॉर फंक्शन आल्सो. ठीक है, फिर मैंने उस पार्सल को खोला, उसको देखा करा, मुझे वो सही नहीं लगा या कुछ भी है XYZ, मैंने उनको कांटेक्ट करके बोला कि भाई ये आप रिटर्न ले लो. रिटर्न का मतलब है कि अच्छा मैंने जो चीज मंगवाई थी वो मुझे अच्छी नहीं लगी, अब आप इसको अपने पास वापस ले लो, लाइक दैट. ठीक है, ये सिनेरियो थोड़ा सा क्लियर है जावेद साहब? अब इससे क्या होगा, अगर मैं फंक्शन को इस सिनेरियो के साथ कंपेयर करूं तो वो कह रहा है कि फंक्शन कहता है आप फंक्शन को एज अ ह्यूमन समझो. वो कह रहा है कि भाई मैं एक स्पेसिफिक टास्क आपको परफॉर्म करके दूंगा, जैसे आश्रय ने आपको बताया कि वो एडिशन का टास्क है जो कि परफॉर्म हो रहा है. ठीक है, वो एक स्पेसिफिक टास्क परफॉर्म करके दे रहा है. अब उस स्पेसिफिक टास्क में उसकी दो चीजें हैं. वो कहता है या आप मुझे कोई चीज प्रोवाइड कर दो, ठीक है, तो मैं आपको कुछ दूंगा. ठीक है, आप मुझे इनपुट दोगे तो मैं आपको कुछ रिटर्न करूंगा. सही है. इसी तरीके से फंक्शन के भी मामला इसी तरीके से हैं कि भाई आप उसको इनपुट प्रोवाइड करते हो और वो आपके ऊपर है कि आप रिटर्न करना चाहते हो उस फंक्शन से या नहीं करना चाहते. जैसे आपको पार्सल अच्छा लग गया, अब आप रिटर्न नहीं करोगे, आप उसको अपने पास सेव कर लोगे, दैट्स इट. लेकिन वो पार्सल अच्छा नहीं, नाउ यू वांट टू रिटर्न इट. सही. सो सिमिलरली दिस सिचुएशन इज आल्सो अप्लाई ऑन द फंक्शन. फंक्शन ने भी आपको ये अलाउ किया हुआ है दैट वॉट एवर द थिंग्स यू आर आस्किंग मी टू डू, it's up to you. You want the answer from me or you don't want the answer from me. That's up to you, right? So the return statement have two things. One thing is that Ashir said that it will end the function. फंक्शन का जो भी फंक्शनैलिटी है, जैसे ही हमने रिटर्न कर दिया वो फंक्शन वहीं पे ही खत्म. उसके बाद अब चाहे 15 लाइन का कोड लिखो या 12 लाइन का कोड लिखो, उससे उसको फर्क नहीं पड़ता. सही है. और दूसरी चीज कि रिटर्न के साथ साथ जो भी आप चीज रिटर्न करवा रहे होगे वो आपको अपने पास सेव करके आपको प्रोवाइड कर देगा कि भाई ले लो, ये मेरी चीज है, मैं आपको दे रहा हूँ, रिटर्न कर दो. ठीक है, मैंने ये चीज कर दी, मैंने ये कोड को ऐड कर दिया, ऐड करने के बाद ये मेरा आंसर आया, अब ये आंसर आप रिटर्न ले लो मुझसे. सही है. तो दिस इज द रिटर्न एक्चुअली मीन्स. सही. अच्छा, अब आपके माइंड में सवाल आ रहा होगा कि हम कह रहे हैं कि एंड कर दें, तो भाई एंड का मतलब तो ये कि फंक्शन तो खत्म ही हो जाएगा. ठीक है, बट अब मेक इट टू द सेंटेंस और सिनेरियो वेयर हम इफ और एल्स यूज कर रहे हैं. सही है. मैंने आपसे कहा इवन नंबर है या ऑड नंबर है. सही. अब आपका क्या है, फंक्शन के अंदर अगर आपने प्रिंट स्टेटमेंट लगा दी और आपको इवन नंबर मिल गया तो वो क्या करेगा, दोबारा से जाएगा ऑड नंबर चेक करेगा, फिर जाएगा, फिर चेक करेगा, फिर जाएगा, फिर मतलब अगर लूपिंग भी की हुई है तो वो बार बार चेक करेगा. सही है. फंक्शन में क्या होगा, मैंने आपसे क्या कहा था, इवन नंबर मुझे बस चेक करके बता दो कि है या नहीं है. सही. फंक्शन क्या करेगा, जाएगा, चेक करेगा, उसको इवन नंबर मिल गया, बस वही फंक्शन एंड. भाई आपने मुझे कहा था इवन नंबर मिल जाए तो बता देना, मैंने उसको बता दिया कि इवन नंबर मिल गया और मैंने फंक्शन का काम स्टॉप कर दिया. मतलब वो जो लूपिंग विदाउट रिटर्न चलती रहती, वो रिटर्न ने क्या कर दी कि भाई जो चीज मांगी थी वो हो गई, अब ले लो और मेरे को बस अब फंक्शन नहीं चलाना मजीद. ठीक है. तो वाई वी आर यूजिंग द फंक्शन, to save the code, to make the code optimize, second thing,
Less
or
complex.
to less complex, exactly, and to understandable, हम लोगों को understanding हो उस कोड की basically. अगर हम एडिशन का फंक्शन करवा रहे हैं, जो आशी ने बहुत बेसिक एग्जांपल दिया आप लोगों को, वो हम क्यों करवा रहे हैं, ठीक है, उसका रीजन ये है कि भाई आप एडिशन के अंदर हमें 2 इनपुट दे दो, हम आपको ऐड करके दे देंगे, आपको बार बार प्लस लगा के करने की नीड नहीं है, वी विल डू इट फॉर यू, ठीक है। तो वो जो रिपीटिवनेस आती है एक कोडिंग के अंदर, के बार बार आप प्लस लगा रहे हो, बार बार आप प्लस लगा रहे हो, बार बार आप प्लस लगा रहे हो, वो सब खत्म, ठीक है। सिमिलरली ऑपरेशंस हमारे 4 होते हैं, तो ऑपरेशंस के लिए हम बार बार 4 लाइंस लिखते हैं, इससे अच्छा हम क्या करें, हम एक लाइन का कोड लिखें, फंक्शन लिखें, जिसके अंदर हम ऑपरेटर भी एज अ इनपुट गेट कर लें, वो इनपुट हमने दे दिया, अब आगे का काम आप करवा लो, ठीक है। तो सेम लाइक दैट, आई होप इट्स क्लियर टू यू नाउ
Yeah,
गाइस।
he said in chat that he already understand. Okay, earlier in the chat, which is all I cannot see now. Somebody say to explain about past statements, so I won't mind explaining
ओके,
that
पास स्टेटमेंट्स इज एक्चुअली नथिंग, इट्स पास का मतलब होता है जस्ट पास इट, you don't need to do anything, just pass,
just to keep
don't need to do anything, yeah,
just you want.
don't, yeah, just write the code for it.
So if I were to do a greet, let's go back to greet statement I did. Let's add a greet,
Mm,
and we can here
mm.
if we want nothing, if we want to use this function after and we have to do something else first, you can just write a pass so that you can keep it empty. That's what it
Now
do.
for example, that's mean, for example, I let's back to the again the scenario that I asked you to check the even function, right? For example, I provided 0 and 1 and 2, right? And I told you that the function needs to return at the even value only, right? What if it find the odd value? Okay, what if it find the like 0 or something decimal value, user put the decimal value and cannot find that it's even or odd, right? So in that scenario, what we can do, we can pass this thing. Okay, we can tell the function that you don't need to do anything, just pass it. That's the main thing
Or
is,
if you're
okay.
doing
And wait a minute, Ashir. And for the pass, if you're asking that where we use pass most of the time, basically we use the pass mostly when we know that we need to create this function, but we don't know that how to create this function. फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्लासेस के अंदर ये सबसे ज्यादा यूज होता है, जब हमें ये पता होता है कि हमें क्लास बनानी है, पर अभी उस क्लास के हवाले से हमें कोई आइडिया नहीं है, सो हम क्या करते हैं, वो क्लास बना के उसको पास कर देते हैं, दैट्स इट। सिमिलरली फंक्शन के साथ भी है कि अगर हमें पता है कि मुझे ग्रीट का फंक्शन बनाना है, लेकिन मुझे उसकी फंक्शनैलिटी का भी आइडिया नहीं है, सो व्हाट आई डू, आई जस्ट पास इट, कि भाई मैंने फंक्शन बना दिया, जब उसकी फंक्शनैलिटी का बताओगे तो मैं उसके बारे में भी लिख दूंगी, कोई मसले वाली बात नहीं
okay.
है।
le-
ओके
I
Asha, you want to say
I
something,
just
just go
also
ahead.
have an example. It's also really simple. Past doesn't have to just be using if you're want to keep your function empty. You can also do if you're looking for something specific. So let's take a real life example. What if you're a gold miner? You're a gold miner and you're looking only for gold. This is all you want, gold. Let's color yellow. This is all you want, gold. And for example, you find crystals in our code form. If you find a crystal, it won't matter. So you can just do pass because you're a gold miner, yeah. So you can just pass it and let it continue searching up for gold. That's simple. So pass because you don't want it, right? Crystal is not a gold. Gold is gold. Crystal is crystal. So we're only looking for gold. So unless we find gold, it will not pass. So that could be another if you're looking for something specific, or if you just want to leave your code empty. So like I stated in a in the other example, I said we wanted to create we wanted to do a whole circle function, but you don't want to combine it all together because it will be really complex. So I said, firstly, let's create a function that creates our circle, and then a second function that will color it up. And so if you're starting with this, if you created the two functions already, and you want to work on this one first, and you want to do the other one after, you can just put pass, okay? So it will keep it empty and there will be no errors. That's all about it. Everybody understand? Just simple.
By the way, Ashu, you take this example that I will laugh on it because I will not pass the crystal if I have that one.
No, but you're probably just gonna leave it alone.
No, I will take it.
So you are not a gold digger.
Yeah. I'm not a good.
It's fine. This is just an example. This is just example. For
But we
example,
cannot accept it in an example. You are saying that
okay,
you
how
have a
about this?
crystal.
How about this? What if you're crystal
Yeah.
miner? How about you're crystal miner? And if you find the best piece of gold, I will pass it
So I
away.
will
I'm not
no,
gonna
I will
throw
not
it
pass it
away.
away. I will
But
I
this is
will
just
not
a
throw it
very,
away.
it's a very weird example, okay? This is just
Yeah,
for
I know.
if you already have you have many crystals at home and you're looking for gold now, you're not probably gonna take it because you already have them.
So yeah,
Okay,
I think
yeah,
everyone will laugh also because they
that's
also think
just
that I will not leave the crystal if I have that one.
you will take both. If you find both of
Okay,
them, just steal them. Okay, yeah.
just steal them.
Okay, that's all I had to explain. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, Ashur. That's it. If anyone have any other question,
yeah, you can ask right now. I don't think anybody has a question. I only saw 2 questions, and they've already been answered.
yeah. So now, Ashur, we will have some coding practice. So if you want to leave, you can, or you want
Okay,
to stay, you can stay. So
so
we will have
I'm
some
going
coding
to
practice.
leave. All right,
Okay.
Allah
Okay.
Hafiz. I'm going to end the recording.
Lafis.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to share the recording with me.
Yeah, I will. Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Okay, Lafis.
But it's not letting me leave. Oh,
Because
because
you are the host. Yeah, you are the host. You need to make me a host.
how do I do that? Oh,
Just leave it and it will ask you
it's
that.
okay. So host tools, I can give it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Wait, okay, end meeting, leave meeting, assign a
Leave
new
meeting.
host. Okay, I assigned you. Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Work with Lafis.